describe someone to you and tell me if this sounds familiar. They're 45 years old, they've been working for 20 years. They're making $75,000 a year, which is decent money. They've been contributing to their 401k since they started working, not the maximum, but something, maybe 6% of their salary. They've been responsible, they've been doing what they were told. Save for retirement, invest in your 401k, diversify, don't touch it. They followed all the conventional wisdom. And then one day, they log into their retirement account to check the balance. They've got about $180,000 saved up, 20 years of contributions and growth, $180,000. And for the first time, they actually do the math. They pull up a retirement calculator, they plug in their current savings, their current contribution rate, their expected retirement age of 65, and they look at the projected balance. It says they'll have about $920,000 by retirement, just under $1 million. That sounds like a lot until they read the next line. The calculator says with a 4% withdrawal rate, they can safely take out $36,800 per year in retirement. $36,800. They're currently spending $65,000 a year just to maintain their lifestyle. Their mortgage will be paid off, sure, but they'll still need at least $50,000 a year to live comfortably. The numbers don't work. They're going to run out of money, and they have no idea what they did wrong. They followed the advice, they invested consistently, they diversified, they stayed the course, and somehow they're still not going to have enough.
Let me describe. If you've ever looked at your retirement account balance and felt like you should be further ahead, if you've ever wondered if you're doing this right, if you've ever felt behind and you don't know why, this video is going to show you exactly what's stealing your retirement future. My name is John, and I've spent years studying retirement planning failures, and what I've discovered is terrifying. Most people who think they're investing correctly are making one or more of 7 critical mistakes that are quietly destroying their ability to retire. And the worst part is, these mistakes are expensive. We're not talking about small optimizations. We're talking about 6-figure and 7-figure differences in retirement outcomes. If this topic matters to you, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up, because what I'm about to share could be worth over $1 million to your future self. Here's the thing that nobody tells you about retirement investing. The conventional wisdom is designed to be safe enough that financial advisors don't get sued, not to actually make you rich. It's designed for the average person who does nothing special to end up with something instead of nothing. But average results lead to average retirements. And average retirements in America mean working until 67, living on 40% less income than you're used to, worrying about money constantly, and hoping you don't live too long because you might run out. That's not freedom. That's not security. That's barely survival. And you're on track for exactly that outcome if you're making any of these 7 mistakes. So let's go through them one by one. I'm going to show you what the mistake is, why it's costing you so much, and what to do instead, because understanding the problem is useless without a solution. Mistake number 1, starting too late and thinking you can catch up. This is the most common and most expensive mistake in retirement investing. People waste their 20s thinking they have time. They waste their early 30s paying off student loans or saving for a house or having kids. They finally start seriously investing in their mid to late 30s or early 40s, and they think they can make up for lost time by contributing more later. The math does not work that way. Let me show you the real numbers. Person A starts investing at age 25. They invest $300 per month, which is $3,600 per year. They do this for 10 years, until age 35, contributing a total of $36,000. Then they stop completely, never invest another dollar. That $36,000, invested at a 10% average annual return, grows to $1.38 million by age 65. Person B waits until age 35 to start investing. They invest $300 per month from age 35 to age 65. That's 30 years of contributions, a total of $108,000 invested. They contributed 3 times as much money as person A. At the same 10% return, they end up with $678,000 by age 65. Person A invested $36,000 total and has $1.38 million. Person B invested $108,000 total and has $678,000. Person A has more than double the money with less than a third of the contributions. That's the power of time. Those early years are worth exponentially more than the later years. You cannot make up for a late start by contributing more. The math doesn't allow it. You can contribute twice as much, 3 times as much, and still end up with less because you lost the most valuable years. Here's what this mistake costs you.
If you wait until 35 instead of starting at 25, even if you contribute the same amount every year from 35 to 65, you'll end up with approximately $700,000 less. That's not a small optimization. That's life-changing money. That's the difference between retiring at 60 and working until 70. That's the difference between a comfortable retirement and a stressful one. And you can never get those years back. Every year you wait costs you more than the year before because of compound interest. The solution is simple but painful. If you're young and you haven't started, start right now. Even if it's just $50 a month, even if it's just 1% of your salary, start. If you're in your 30s or 40s and you started late, you have to contribute significantly more than the standard 15% recommendation. You need to be hitting 20 to 25% of your gross income minimum to make up for lost time, not 15%. That's for people who started at 25. You didn't. You need to do more. And if you're in your 50s and you have almost nothing saved, I'm sorry, but you need to be in crisis mode. 30 to 40% savings rate, extreme frugality, side hustles, everything, because time is gone and money is the only lever you have left. Mistake number 2, paying excessive fees without realizing it. This is the silent killer of retirement accounts. Most people have no idea how much they're paying in fees. They see a percentage like 1% or 1.5% and think, that's not much, it's only 1%. 1% sounds small. 1% is catastrophic over 40 years. Let me show you what fees actually cost you. You have $100,000 invested. Scenario A, you're in low-cost index funds with an expense ratio of 0.05%, which is very cheap. Scenario B, you're in actively managed funds with an expense ratio of 1.5%, which is common in many 401k plans. Over 30 years at a 10% gross return, here's what happens. Scenario A, with 0.05% fees, your money grows to $1.74 million. Scenario B, with 1.5% fees, your money grows to $1.14 million. The difference is $600,000. $600,000 lost to fees on a $100,000 initial investment. But it's worse than that, because most people don't have just one fee. They have multiple layers. The expense ratio on the fund, usually 0.5% to 1.5%. The administrative fee for the 401k plan, usually 0.2% to 0.5%. The advisor fee, if they're using a financial advisor, usually 1% to 1.5%. Add those up and you're easily paying 2% to 3.5% in total fees annually. At 3% in fees, your retirement account balance will be about half of what it would be with low fees. Half. You work your entire life, contribute hundreds of thousands of dollars, and half of your potential retirement wealth goes to fees. And here's the really dark part. The financial industry knows this. They just don't tell you. They hide the fees in fine print. They express them as percentages instead of dollar amounts because percentages sound small. They don't show you the compounded cost over decades. They focus on performance and hope you don't notice that their high fees are eating your returns. It's not illegal, it's just predatory, and it's costing you 6 figures. The solution is to become obsessed with fees. Log into your 401k right now and look at the expense ratios on every fund you're invested in. If anything is above 0.5%, you're overpaying. Switch to low-cost index funds. If your 401k doesn't offer low-cost index funds, complain to HR and request them. If you're using a financial advisor, ask them to justify their 1% fee. What are they doing that's worth 1% of your entire portfolio every single year? Most advisors can't justify it because they're not providing enough value. Consider switching to a fee-only advisor who charges a flat rate, or manage your investments yourself. It's not that complicated, and the money you save on fees could be worth half your retirement. You have a mistake number 3, being too conservative too early. This mistake is usually driven by fear. People see the stock market go down and they panic. They move money into bonds or cash or stable value funds because it feels safer. And it is safer in the short term, but it's devastating in the long term. Here's what most people don't understand. If you're under 50, you don't need safety. You need growth. You have time to recover from market crashes. You can afford to take risk because you won't be withdrawing this money for 20, 30, or 40 years. Let me show you the cost of being too conservative. You're 35 years old with $50,000 in your retirement account. Scenario A, you invest 100% in stocks, which historically return about 10% annually. By age 65, that $50,000 grows to $872,000. Scenario B, you're nervous about risk, so you go 50% stocks and 50% bonds. Bonds historically return about 5% annually. Your blended return is 7.5%. By age 65, that same $50,000 grows to $480,000. You lost $392,000 by being too conservative. You cut your risk in half, and you cut your retirement in half. But here's the psychological trap. Being conservative feels responsible. It feels smart. You're not one of those reckless investors gambling in the stock market. You're being prudent and balanced. Except prudent and balanced at age 35 is actually reckless because you're gambling that you won't need as much money in retirement. You're betting that $480,000 will be enough when you know it probably won't be. That's not prudent. That's fearful. And fear is expensive. The solution is to match your risk tolerance to your time horizon, not to your emotions. If you're more than 15 years from retirement, you should be at least 80 to 90% stocks. If you're more than 20 years from retirement, you should be 100% stocks. Yes, the market will crash. Yes, your account balance will drop 30 or 40% sometimes. That's normal. That's what stocks do. But they recover. They always have. And over long periods, stocks outperform everything else. As you get closer to retirement, then you start shifting to bonds for stability. 10 years out, maybe 70% stocks. 5 years out, maybe 50% stocks. At retirement, maybe 40% stocks. But in your accumulation years, you need maximum growth. Safety is for when you're spending the money, not when you're building it. Mistake number 4. Not maximizing employer match and tax advantages. This is leaving free money on the table, and it's more common than you think. About 20% of workers with access to a 401k don't contribute enough to get the full employer match. That's insane. An employer match is an instant 100% return on your contribution. There is no other investment on earth that gives you that. If your employer matches 4% of your salary and you contribute 4%, they're giving you an extra 4% for free. On a $60,000 salary, that's $2,400 per year. Over 30 years at 10% returns, that free money becomes $395,000. You're walking away from $395,000 because you couldn't afford to contribute 4% of your salary. But it's not just the match, it's the tax advantages you're not using. 401k contributions are pre-tax. That means every dollar you contribute reduces your taxable income by $1. If you're in the 22% tax bracket and you contribute $10,000 to your 401k, you save $2,200 in taxes. That's a 22% instant return before any investment growth. Additionally, many people don't know about HSAs, health savings accounts. If you have a high-deductible health plan, you can contribute to an HSA. It's triple tax-advantaged. Contributions are pre-tax, growth is tax-free, withdrawals for medical expenses are tax-free, and after age 65, you can withdraw for any reason and just pay regular income tax like a traditional IRA. It's the best retirement account that exists, and almost nobody maxes it out. The solution is to prioritize in this order. First, contribute enough to your 401k to get the full employer match. That's non-negotiable free money. Second, max out your HSA if you're eligible. That's $4,150 for individuals or $8,300 for families in 2024. Third, max out a Roth IRA if your income allows. That's $7,000 in 2024. Fourth, go back to your 401k and contribute more, ideally up to the max of $23,000 in 2024 or $30,500 if you're over 50. If you can't afford to do all of this, do as much as you can in that order. Every dollar you contribute to tax-advantaged accounts is a dollar that grows faster because you're not paying taxes on it every year. Mistake number 5, panic selling during market crashes. This is the mistake that destroys more retirement accounts than anything else. The market crashes, your 401k balance drops 30%, you panic, you sell everything and move to cash or bonds. You tell yourself you're protecting your money, you're getting out before it gets worse. And then what happens? The market recovers. It always does. And you're sitting in cash earning nothing while everyone else is making money. Then you feel stupid. You wait for the right time to get back in. But you never feel confident, so you stay in cash. You've locked in your losses and missed the recovery. This is the absolute worst thing you can do. Number 4. Here's the math on how much this costs you. You have $200,000 in stocks in 2020.
March 2020, the market crashes 35% due to COVID. Your balance drops to $130,000. You panic and sell everything. You move to cash. By the end of 2020, the market has recovered and is up 18% for the year. But you're in cash. You've locked in a 35% loss. You missed the recovery. Your $200,000 is now permanently $130,000. If you had just held, it would have been $236,000. You lost $106,000 in less than a year because you panicked. But it's even worse over the long term. That $130,000 sitting in cash, earning maybe 1% per year, grows to $175,000 over 20 years. If you had stayed invested in stocks earning 10% per year, that $200,000 grows to $1.35 million over 20 years. Your panic cost you $1.17 million. $1.17 million because you couldn't handle a temporary drop that recovered in less than a year. This is the single most expensive emotional mistake in investing. The solution is to develop an iron stomach and remember history. The market has crashed many times: 1929, 1987, 2000, 2008, 2020. Every single time people panic and sell. Every single time the market recovers and goes on to make new highs. The people who stayed invested got rich. The people who sold stayed poor. When the market crashes, you don't sell, you buy more if you can. Market crashes are sales. Everything is on discount. You should be excited, not scared. I know that's hard when your account is down $200,000, but you have to remember, you're not spending this money for decades. The temporary drop doesn't matter. The long-term trajectory matters, and the long-term trajectory of the stock market is up. Mistake number 6, failing to increase contributions as income grows. This is lifestyle inflation applied to retirement planning. You start your career making $40,000, you contribute 5% to your 401k, which is $2,000 per year. That's great, you're saving something. Then you get raises. You're making $50,000, then $60,000, then $75,000, then $90,000, but you never increase your contribution percentage. You're still contributing 5%, so your contributions go from $2,000 to $2,500 to $3,000 to $3,750 to $4,500. Yes, they're increasing with your salary, but your lifestyle is increasing too, and you're not capturing the full benefit of your raises. Here's what you should be doing. Every time you get a raise, increase your 401k contribution by at least half the raise. If you get a 5% raise, increase your contribution rate by 2.5%. You'll still see more money in your paycheck, but you're accelerating your retirement savings. Over a career, this compounds massively. Let me show you the difference. Person A starts at $40,000 and contributes 5% their entire career. As their salary grows to $90,000 over 30 years, they're always contributing 5%. Total contributions over 30 years, about $100,000. With 10% returns, they end up with $680,000. Person B starts at $40,000 and contributes 5%, but every raise, they increase their contribution by half the raise percentage. By the time they're making $90,000, they're contributing 15% of their salary. Total contributions over 30 years, about $210,000. With 10% returns, they end up with $1.43 million. Same career, same salary progression, one simple behavior change, $750,000 difference. The solution is to automate this. Many 401k plans now offer automatic escalation features. Every year, your contribution increases by 1% automatically until you hit a cap, usually 10% or 15%. Turn this on. Set it and forget it. If your plan doesn't offer it, set a reminder every January to increase your contribution by 1% manually. Make it non-negotiable. You'll never miss the money because you never saw it in your paycheck. And over decades, this will add hundreds of thousands of dollars to your retirement. Mistake number 7, not having a withdrawal strategy. This is the mistake people don't discover until they retire, and by then it's too late. You spend your entire career accumulating money. You save, you invest, you do everything right. You get to retirement with $1 million. Congratulations. Now what? How do you withdraw the money? Which accounts do you pull from first? How do you minimize taxes? How do you make sure you don't run out of money if you live to 95? Most people have no plan. They just start pulling money out and hoping it lasts. Here's why this matters. You have $1 million split between 3 accounts.
$400,000 in a traditional 401k, which is pre-tax, withdrawals are taxed as ordinary income, $300,000 in a Roth IRA, which is post-tax, withdrawals are tax-free, $300,000 in a taxable brokerage account, withdrawals are capital gains. If you withdraw randomly from all three, you're probably overpaying on taxes. If you withdraw from the traditional 401k first, you're potentially pushing yourself into higher tax brackets and paying more than necessary.
Here's what the optimal strategy is complex and depends on your specific situation, but generally, you want to pull from taxable accounts first to let the tax-advantaged accounts grow longer. Then, pull from traditional accounts strategically to fill up lower tax brackets. Then, use Roth money last or to supplement in years when you need more without increasing taxes. Additionally, you need to know about required minimum distributions, RMDs. At age 73, the government forces you to start withdrawing from traditional 401ks and IRAs, whether you want to or not. If you have too much in traditional accounts, you'll be forced to take large withdrawals and pay huge taxes. Here's what this costs you. Person A retires with $1 million and just withdraws $40,000 per year from wherever. They end up paying about 28% in taxes over their retirement because they're not optimizing. Person B retires with $1 million and uses a strategic withdrawal plan. They end up paying about 15% in taxes over their retirement. On a $1 million portfolio withdrawn over 25 years, that's a difference of $130,000 in taxes. Person A paid $280,000 in lifetime taxes. Person B paid $150,000. Same retirement savings, $130,000 difference just in taxes because one person had a plan and the other didn't. The solution is to plan your retirement withdrawal strategy before you retire, ideally 5 to 10 years before. Consider working with a fee-only financial planner to model different scenarios. Understand how much you have in each account type and what the tax implications are. Consider doing Roth conversions in your 50s and early 60s when you might be in lower tax brackets to move money from traditional to Roth before RMDs kick in. This is complex stuff, and getting it right is worth tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of dollars. Now let's add up the cost of these 7 mistakes because I need you to see what they're collectively stealing from you. Starting 10 years late costs you $700,000. Paying high fees costs you $600,000. Being too conservative costs you $400,000. Not maximizing employer match and tax advantages costs you $400,000. Panic selling during crashes costs you $1 million average over a career. Not increasing contributions with raises costs you $750,000. Not having a withdrawal strategy costs you $130,000 in extra taxes. Total cost of making all 7 mistakes, $3,980,000. $4 million. Obviously, most people don't make all 7 mistakes to the fullest extent, but even making 3 or 4 of them at moderate levels could cost you between $1 and $2 million. That's the difference between a luxurious retirement and a stressful one. That's the difference between retiring at 60 and working until 70. That's the difference between leaving an inheritance and leaving nothing. And the tragic part is, most people have no idea they're making these mistakes until it's too late. Here's what I want you to do right now. Go through these 7 mistakes and honestly assess which ones you're making. Write them down. Then calculate roughly what each one is costing you using the numbers I gave you. This isn't about beating yourself up. This is about awareness. You can't fix what you don't know is broken. Once you know, you can take action. If you're starting late, start today and commit to higher contribution rates. If you're paying high fees, switch to low-cost index funds immediately. If you're being too conservative, reallocate to stocks based on your time horizon. If you're not getting your full match, adjust your contributions right now. If you've panic sold in the past, commit to a plan for the next crash. If you're not increasing contributions with raises, set up auto escalation. If you don't have a withdrawal strategy, start learning and planning. Every single one of these mistakes is fixable. None of them require genius-level intelligence. None of them require massive wealth. They just require knowledge and discipline. Knowledge you now have. Discipline you have to develop. The difference between a wealthy retirement and a broke retirement isn't luck. It's not inheritance. It's not stock-picking genius. It's avoiding these 7 mistakes. That's it. The people who retire rich are the people who started early, kept fees low, stayed aggressive while young, maxed out tax advantages, didn't panic sell, increased contributions over time, and had a withdrawal plan. That's the formula.
It's not sexy, it's not exciting, but it works. I want to leave you with one final thought because I think it changes everything. Your retirement isn't something that happens to you, it's something you build. Every decision you make today is either building your future freedom or destroying it. Every 1% fee you pay is stealing from your future self. Every year you delay starting is stealing from your future self. Every panic sale is stealing from your future self. These 7 mistakes are thieves, and they're stealing your retirement while you're not paying attention. But now you are paying attention. Now you know what to look for. Now you can protect your future from these mistakes. You can't get back the years you've already lost. You can't reclaim the fees you've already paid. But you can stop the bleeding right now. You can fix your investments today. You can change your contribution rate today. You can commit to staying invested through the next crash today. Your future self is depending on the decisions you make right now. Don't let these mistakes steal any more from you. If this video opened your eyes to mistakes you're making, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe to the Penny Plan for more content that protects your financial future. These 7 mistakes could cost you $4 million. The question is, how much are they costing you? But now